What's up, guys? We are live. Welcome to another Underground St. Louis interview. We are a show that brings you a street-level view of the greater St. Louis area. I am Sam Catanzaro, and to my right is...
Hey, everybody. It's your friend, your lover, Tyrese. Thank you for tuning in. We have an awesome interview today with an awesome person.
So fucking
it should be fun. It should be fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to my left is the man in the chair, our executive producer, Booster. How you doing, Booster?
I'm doing great. Happy Thursday, everybody. I just want to make sure that if you feel like commenting or participating in the conversation at all, feel free to go. What is going on?
I got you.
All right.
Go ahead.
If you want to comment or participate in the conversation, make sure you comment down below. All right. Back to Sam and Tyrese.
Guys, today we have joining us via Skype. He is a St. Louis comedian, director, producer, writer, podcaster, actor. He is also the host of the best show in the universe,
Goddamn.
The Anthony Rogers Show.
I was going to say, this show?
Oh, no. This is second best. And he is currently running for Congress. The man, the myth, the legend, Anthony Rogers. How you doing, Anthony?
What's going on?
That was good. That was the nicest intro I've ever heard in my life. Like, usually, I don't get that nice of intros.
Yeah, Anthony, aren't you afraid that you're doing too much? Can you save some for us average people? Can you just calm it down just a little bit, man? You're just all over the place, dog.
I'll try, man. I'll try to start sucking.
Please do.
You do a lot. You have, like, I mean, that's like one of the, I always joke around with all the guests that we have that the titles when I introduce them are so long. Yours is very long. You got a lot of titles. You got you got your hands in a lot of things. We talked last night for about an hour on the phone, and I was I was telling you, I was like, man, I should be recording this because we were talking about some interesting stuff. But just, because you got your hands in a lot of projects. I mean, fuck, you went from being a comedian to now running for Congress, which we will get to later.
We got a lot of steps in between.
Oh, yeah, a lot of
other shit. It wasn't just one step to the other.
Right. So can you give us a little background on yourself for our audience, your history with St. Louis, and how you started off this diverse career path?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it sounds crazy if you think about it all at one time, but this was all spread out since like 2014. I think I started like comedy like in 2014. I was asked to go on a tour, and that was the first like kind of like thing. I didn't do any open mics or anything like that, like a bunch of people used to do, and a bunch of comedians around here hate that. They get pissed off, like, you didn't even do open mics in front of nobody, like you mean, and like, but I skipped that whole thing, jumped on a tour, toured most of North America, and then just kept doing it for a couple of years. So I got a girlfriend, and I got bored with touring all the time, and then I started doing movies. I was asked to be in Rampage President Down, which is on Netflix, and was in like 100 and something countries and theaters, like Asian countries, European countries, shit like that. And then with Uwe Boll, it was Uwe Boll's movie, his last movie actually, which is my first movie, called Rampage President Down. It's on Netflix for Americans and stuff. Did that, and then still did comedy a little bit, I guess. Like, I did some stuff here in St. Louis with like did some shows like Creed Bratton from The Office, some guys from Trailer Park Boys, some guys from WWE and stuff. Like, just local at Pops and stuff. Like, I got lazier after I got a girlfriend, so I stayed in St. Louis way more.
Yeah, that happens all the time, man.
Yeah, because when you're single, you're like, yeah, I'll go to fucking Wyoming right now. Like, it's like, or whatever, yeah, but yeah, it slowed down. And then with comedy, at least, and I got more into, like, I started the podcast. Well, first it was a radio show in Texas, and then we went from afternoon show to morning show in like a couple weeks because we just like killed it so hard. Had the only famous people on the show. Like, basically we're interviewing like Buck Cherry, like porn stars, like fucking like Sublime with Rome. Shit like that. So we passed everybody up really fast. Went to morning show with my buddy Bruce, and then we got fired for making fun of all the other DJs really bad. Like, we're just making fun of them super bad for fun and sport. It's like pro wrestling to me. It's like you just like make fun of, you know what I mean? It's like you just do that, and they didn't think it was as funny. So I got fired. I started my podcast and did that, and then I started directing movies. And the movie you were talking about earlier, Don't Watch This Movie, was on Amazon, and then or it is on Amazon, but it was originally called Watch This Movie, but it got banned for like dabs, having like people smoke weed in it.
There was a dude. He was taking a huge bong hit. And he was talking about like the American Dream or something like that when he was taking he was talking about believing in God, and he's taking a huge bong hit, and he goes, "Why wouldn't you believe in God? God gave us weed." And yeah, it was just,
it's weird that you got disbanded because of a bong hit doing dabs. There's like movies about like sex and like, wait, how is having dabs, doing dabs on your movie got
Yeah.
banned. Like, you have all this extra shit, people killing each other and shit like that.
I agree. I think like everybody will find a way to hate somebody. It's just whatever it is, man. It's like I piss people off a lot, so they find bullshit reasons to make it look like I violate rules. But as he was speaking, he saw Don't Watch This Movie, which I didn't even edit it at all. It's released under a different title, and they're fine with it.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense. Like I didn't edit it at all. I just released the same
It's an
film.
entirely different movie though. Now you put "Don't Watch It" here.
Yeah,
So it's just
the
like-
title changed. Yeah.
You were and I want to hit that. You were talking about podcasting before. Are you also
Yeah.
podcasting right now? Right.
Yeah. I'm going a little slow right now with this quarantine thing, but I'm gonna take a little break. But I'll be back to it. I interview a bunch of people like you guys are basically the same thing you guys are doing pretty much.
What is it about? Like your podcast? Is it just you interviewing a bunch of people about certain things, or is it comedians?
Yeah. It's interview based. I mean, I interview a lot of rappers, a lot of politicians, a lot of porn stars, a lot of filmmakers type people, and mostly just like people in entertainment mostly, but then politics and other things.
Yeah, so I mean, like obviously podcasting, it's huge now. It seems like that
Everybody's
everybody in
doing
their
it. Yeah.
everyone and their mother is doing podcasting.
Except for us, we're the best. at
Right?
it,
Yeah. Like how did you decide to actually take a crack at podcasting? Was it just something to kind of supplement your comedy, or how did that come to be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got fired from that Texas radio station, and then I just immediately just wasn't going to take an L and got mad and just fucking started my own show on my own, and it's doing better than it was on their station.
Yeah, so I mean, you've interviewed, like you said, you've interviewed actors, rappers, hip hop artists, porn stars. Adult Video News has tons of articles about adult actresses that have appeared on your show. I mean, just an impressive roster of guests. As fellow hosts of our own show, Underground STL Live every Monday night at 9 p.m., how do you guys establish these connections with these popular figures and networks so well?
Well, I mean, it's the same way I met you. I just ask questions and apply for things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the same exact way I met you. I mean, everybody's the same, Just because they're famous or whatever doesn't mean they're any different, Like, we're all the same. Like, I'm just like, do you want to be on a podcast? And, like, sometimes they don't answer me. Sometimes they're like, yeah.
Just gotta go out there and ask, right? If
Yeah,
they say the
that's
worst
the
thing
same
they
thing.
can do is say no. You know what I mean? If they say
Yeah.
What percentage says no, and what percentage is actually interested, you think?
It depends. I mean, it's really seasonal, and it really depends on certain things. I mean, there's a lot of factors, but I mean, I'd say I go through publicists now a little bit easier. So I mean, they diminish. Like when I first started, I mean, I'd ask everybody, man. Anybody that was fucking cool, I would just be asking everybody. Now I kind of go through like I have two or three porn star publicists I go through, and then I have some major label publicists, and I go through that now. But at first, I mean, probably the rate was probably like 20% success rate of just asking everybody in the fucking world on the internet.
okay. And you were talking about like you're doing so many stuff, and we said this before. You're podcasting, you're a comedian, you're running for office. Right now, is there one thing that you're focused a little bit more on at the current moment right now than the others?
I think politics kind of took over recently.
What was that? I'm sorry.
No, my bad. I think politics took over recently. I think that's like my new obsession.
Yeah, and so I mean, and which is crazy because you're a comedian, and you are you're a comedian and you are a podcaster, and now you're running for office. I really think that like this opened up the door for like celebrities to kind of come in. I mean, we saw it with Ronald Reagan, we saw it with Arnold Schwarzenegger, now we see it with Donald Trump. That these celebrities are coming. Even like The Rock is said to run for Congress. Going back to your podcast and your comedian and your comedy, you said that you didn't start off doing open mic shows.
Oh yeah,
you just started doing stand up, or what kind of comedy exactly do you focus on?
I guess in a sense, I started off as a writer. I guess on blogs and like articles and stuff for like Font Catalog, Funny or Die, shit like that. And then I built like a following on Facebook where I had like 1 million people, and like at one point I had like 1 million people on Facebook and shit. And they asked me to go on a tour basically. So my first comedy show was in Seattle, Washington, at the Cannabis Farmers Market. After they just give me all this free weed and like iced tea with weed, pixie sticks with like THC, all this different stuff. And then they're like, oh, by the way, you're on in 15 minutes. So that was my first show. Basically.
Wow.
So and then you got into podcasting, and obviously you've interviewed all of these like these incredible people. Jordan Belfort, the Real Wolf of Wall Street, actually does your podcast opening
intro.
Yeah.
My intro is Jordan Belfort. Yeah,
and he which I mean he's a notorious figure, and then you have I mean just like some of your guests that you've had on here with this some of your you've had on the two former members of an Old Testament doomsday sex cult.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, you had on a guy willing to pay $50,000 to clone his dog. You had
that's my friend Jeff. He cloned his dog for $50,000. That's my friend Jeff. Yeah.
But like that seems like the average amount though. That's the amount. Is that the
Yeah,
going
that
rate
would
for
be-
clones? I
if
don't
I
know
were
if that's
to-
too much, too little. I have no reference here.
And then you
about
had
that.
on Tiger Woods' former mistress and porn star Jocelyn James.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
and she was on a couple times because she was on one, and that got like the most downloads or something like that. And then she was on a second time. What do you think your favorite episode of your podcast is so far?
That's crazy. I wanted to say that too. I'm gonna let you get to that one, but any point in that sentence you just read out would have been awesome. Like if you were like, you had Tiger Woods stop, mistress stop, porn star. Any of those would have been great. Though.
What's your favorite one though? Like, what has been your favorite interview on your podcast?
It depends, man. Like I think like the porn stars are always my favorite because like they're more real and they just like say like they're just cool with a fucked up sense of humor. But I think the only one there's two that made me nervous actually. Like the Jordan Belfort interview. I interviewed him actually too. That's how we got that. That's why I did that sound clip. That interview was like I was nervous as fuck because that dude's like heroic and shit. And that was a good movie. And then and then Sublime with Rome made me nervous too for some reason. Sublime was like one of my favorite bands as a kid. So those are the only two that ever made me nervous. So I'd say those are probably the most exciting. But they're all awesome in their own ways. It's just a good vibe. I mean, it's basically an excuse to talk to anybody you want to in the world.
Yeah, and you are what's funny is like you are a local guy from St. Louis, correct? You're originally from St. Louis. And so I mean you are with St. Louisans, you don't really hear about with St. Louisans it's more like sports stars that we have and stuff like that kind of make it in the mainstream.
They're not really in the entertainment.
Yeah, they're not
industry.
really
You're
in the
not
entertainment.
really- you have your Nellies and whatever, but you don't hear that St. Louis is the spot to go to if you're trying to film movies. Or anything
Exactly,
like that.
and so, but you're cozying up to guys. You're interviewing mainstream celebrity like Jordan Belfort. You're interviewing porn stars. You're interviewing Sublime. Which is crazy. I mean, how did a local boy from St. Louis get to that place? What do you think was the key to your success?
I think just ambition, man. I'm just always working, man. I work till like 7 a.m. on some nights. I'm just like I'm working constantly on all my stuff. I mean, I also own the StLouisTimes.com. I even have like some other shit. Like I basically have. I just constantly work, man. And I just like don't listen to all these people crying and saying I can't do stuff. You know what I mean? It's like so that RFT article you brought up before the interview, like that 2017 article, that would have crushed most people probably. Like just to be called names, like they call me like all these crazy like liberal like pussy ass names, and like they're just inaccurate. And then like that would crush a normal person, I think. But me, I think like I laugh when people are mad almost. That's my entertainment, is pissing people off almost. And then I think just like just blind ambition and being stupid and delusional enough to keep fighting for it, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to that, I mean, you were, Riverfront Times article, they wrote this about you, and they said, quote, they described you as, quote, a man with a history that includes defending the use of racial and homophobic slurs and making jokes about rape. But then Adult Video News, in one of their articles, they described you as, let's face it, in a world of PC bullshit, Roger's show is a refreshing change of pace. Anthony is vocal about his hatred for censorship and comedy and has a fucking hilarious sense of humor. He gives a lot of the credit to producer and friend Bruce Sweeten for making the show happen as well. So you're attacked on one side for being, misogynistic, racist, homophobic, and then you're praised on another side saying that, you don't give into the political correctness bullshit, that your comedy is comedy and you don't think that it should be censored. What are your views on that?
I don't think anyone should be censored anyway. I think actions are fucked up, but I think the action of rape is fucked up, and making a joke about it's not. And then that was the only thing that was true. Actually, I did make rape jokes. I guess that was the only part that was actually true about the whole like shit they're talking. Is like I think like I was telling you last time on the phone. I think I think arguing over crayon colors is the dumbest shit in the entire fucking world. And to call somebody racist, like almost, in my opinion, thinks past that and thinks that racist. I think racism, sexism, all that has held us back 1,000 years or more, like spiritually and physically and materially. And the last thing, the only thing I actually even fucking said in that RFT article was that all that separates us from the oneness of God. That's all I even said. And like they just paint. It was some shitty writer that has a shitty resume. She's like, well, in From Your Die, you said this, and she writes for fucking Riverfront Times, man. Nobody reads that shit. It's like a homeless person's blanket. You know what I mean? It's like nobody reads that shit. And she's like, well, in publications bigger than I could ever write for, Anthony said this. That's how I read that. It's like you just wish you had a fucking career, and you're some dyke bitch, and like you just want to run your mouth. You know what I mean? It's just like, who cares? You're some like, okay, sorry, Hillary didn't win. It's not my fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
basically.
It is in this time right here. It is like some type of like everybody is going after comedians for what they're saying,
right.
And everybody is like held accountable. Even we talked about before from past tweets or whatever. My question for you is: do you think is there something that is kind of off limits, or are you saying it's open bar for comedians? Can somebody actually go too far at all?
With words, no. With actions, yes. I think actions create crimes. I think with words, it's free speech.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So, I mean, that is why do you feel like that is why you have a lot of supporters? Is because you just, I mean, honestly, like you just don't give a shit. Like you're not. I shouldn't say you don't give a shit. You're not willing to lay down for these social justice warriors, for these people that want a virtue signal and that want to kind of regulate your speech.
I mean, I think that adds to it because but I think the most important thing is like I think entertainment and like any kind of success of entertainment is like being yourself the best. So like if you're just good at being yourself and you're real and you don't give in to like bullshit like money or like people crying or things like that and you're just authentic, I think that's what people want. So you don't necessarily have to be this like edgelord shock jock bullshit thing they try to pin me as. You just literally just be yourself, and then people hate themselves, so they'll project their hate onto you. You know what I mean? Like the person who calls me racist is probably racist. You know what I mean? A person who calls me a genius is probably a genius. They're just projecting their own insecurities and they don't even know me. You know what I mean? It's just like that's just how it works. I mean, if you're gonna call names, it's probably how you are.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, have you sat down with these people? Have you ever sat down with somebody that watches your comedy show, that listens to your podcast, or read something that you write, and they have this notion about you, they have this thought about you, and they sit down and they tell you that you've offended them, but then you end up like changing their mind, like you end up like kind of convincing them that you're a good guy, that you're not coming from you're not coming from an evil place. In fact, you're actually coming from another place.
Or the opposite, where you sit down and your mind has changed at all.
That's funny. Yeah, no, because it's actually funny because like after publications would call me racist or a white supremacist, like racist people were actually disappointed that I wasn't racist. They read this, like the Washington Post called me a white supremacist or some shit, or like Gawker or some other shit called me a bunch of names like that. And then people from like Kentucky were like add me on Facebook, and then they're like getting disappointed that I wasn't some like Klan leader guy, that I actually just thought racism was dumb as fuck basically, and like judging people on that is just judging people at all really is dumb. But I mean, it's just like they're more disappointed. And then yeah, you had the like what you were saying too, like what I call like the Howard Stern effect, like how he talked about in like private parts, how people just think you're this vile like person, and they meet you and like I'm like decently spoken, I'm nice to people that are nice to me. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, I've also talked shit to a lot of people that talk shit on me. It just depends on the person, and like I've had a lot of different things like that.
Yeah, and yeah, that's it's funny because it's almost like they're pissed off that they don't have anything to fight against. They don't have an enemy. Like they wanted you to be their enemy. They wanted to kind of give a purpose for them fighting and for them, you know, their crusade. And then when it turns out that you're not this racist, that you're not this misogynist, I mean, do you think that they're disappointed because now, like, what's their goal now? What are they trying to prove now?
Those people will never see that. You just mentioned like things of logic. I think that's how like a logical person thinks. Like these people are just angry at probably their mom or dad or boyfriend that broke up with them or other people, and they're just like they're gonna yell at me, and I'm always just like, thanks for listening to my show or thanks for reading my article. Like I just don't even fucking care. It's just like I think their level of negativity, I don't know. It just doesn't even affect me. It is entertaining to me. It makes me laugh, but outside of that, I don't really have much of a like emotional attachment to them being mad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's so last night after talking to you, I went home and I just started doing tons of research, and I actually watched your movie that you directed. We talked about
It's
earlier.
good. I wanted to hear something about that movie.
Yeah,
too.
don't watch. It's called Don't Watch This Movie, and it was actually released under the name Watch This Movie, and then Amazon Prime took it down, and then you re-released it under just a different name, Don't Watch This Movie, and you didn't edit anything or whatever. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what that movie is about and what your goal was to making that movie.
I wanted to make a movie to prove that also you didn't have to spend $35 million on a movie. That movie cost me like $12 or like $100 or something. Really? It was all submission based. I basically put out 5 questions on Reddit, Facebook at the time. At the time I had 1 million people on my Facebook. I put it out on Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, IMDb, and then had these people submit their 5 answers of like, what do they want to be as a child? Are they that now? Do they believe in the American dream? What do they think the meaning of life is? Do they believe in God? And there's one more, so I guess it was 6 questions. And it was, what do you think of American society? And then I put it together from people all over the world. Like I have people from like the Middle East, I have people from like France, I have people from, they're all speaking English, of course, but I have people from around the world kind of describing like their own perception of reality. And I think that was important because I think like I wanted to give it like, what Uwe Boll did for me in Rampage, like when he gave me the 9th credit in Rampage Present Down. What he did for me, I wanted to do for like a bunch of other people, because I probably gave 30 to 40 people their first IMDb for being in that movie, their first like IMDb page, and like their first movie they're in. And I kind of wanted to do that, and with that energy, it just created a good thing. I felt like it was a gift to be in a movie, and I was really lucky that I did that, and I wanted to do it for a bunch of other people, and I wanted them to be heard, to give them a platform to be heard, instead of just me and my narcissism on my podcast or whatever else. I wanted to actually help other people get their voice out.
Yeah, and the questions that you were talking about that you actually posed in, or that people sent in, you were talking like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Mm-hmm. You were talking about what do you do you believe in the American dream? Do you believe in God? What do you think of American society? Are you what you wanted to be when you grew up? And what I love about it is that these questions were basically like they were. You had such a diverse group of people talking, but these questions are what all Americans have, what all Americans are asking, and that we have in common. And it's almost like not everybody's answer was the same, but these questions all united us. Like, what do you think of the American dream? Well, we are all Americans. We are the most qualified to say that. No matter what you think, that kind of all united us. Do you think that? I mean, was that why you picked those questions?
Those questions actually, my friend Ryan Stewart and I, like when we were, this movie idea came out around 2008, and I just finally got to a point where I could actually release films like recently, to where like we wrote these questions down in 2008. We probably shot like 7 to 8 different versions of this movie. Okay. Like so it came with that. We wanted to come up with seemingly timeless and universal questions, because like clearly nothing's timeless if language changes and all these things. But like we wanted to ask questions rather than current events or something, but things that were deep and meant something and like would connect with people. And people would ask me, they'd be like, how long should my answer be? And I'd be like, I don't care how long it is, as long as it's real. And that's all, the only regulation I gave them is like just be real. I don't care about anything else. People want authenticity. They don't care about a 30-second clip or 2. If you're interesting, they'll listen to you talk for 4 hours. Honestly, like Bruce Springsteen's proven that.
Yeah. So this movie, and I haven't seen it at the time, but you were talking about these questions and how you were gathering it from all over the world. How did you incorporate that into a movie? Did you take like the best answer and then you put that in a movie, or were you trying to address each individual person to that question?
I pretty much used everything that was sent. I did. I cut a lot of fat, like ums and stuff, because a lot of people were like, I think, and so I cut out a lot of shit. Like, or actually, my girlfriend did, who edited it. I don't want to take credit for that. Gabrielle Asher actually edited it. So we would take out all the ums and bullshit. Basically, we kept most of the original answer. Like if they're saying anything of like any value, we kept it basically. If they're making noises, we just edited it out.
Oh, so this is just like it's a collection of everybody. Together. Okay.
It's literally just a bunch of people like taking selfie videos with their phones, or on their laptops or something like that. There's some interesting people on there. Some people made me laugh because it's just real. And the funny, you can tell that it's real because you watch shit like that where it's supposed to be normal people and they don't look normal. These people look normal. There's a couple on there that are high. There's a couple on there that are drunk. But there's a couple on there that are shopping, driving to work. It just it really gets down to the to the core of what Americans were. You're like, this is America. And there's also like one thing that I loved about it which totally contradicts a lot of things that are written about you. It was such a diverse group of people sending in their responses. Men, women, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, gay, trans, Christians, atheists. I mean, like, how did you find all these people? Are these
that's
all
America,
fans of
man.
your
That's
show?
the world, man. It's just the world we're in. You know, I just wanted to know everybody's opinion on something to get to the perception of it. And like I was saying earlier, I just posted on like IMDb, Twitter, Facebook, and a couple things, just asking questions. And I used to have a lot of people on Facebook before I got deleted. I had a million something people, so it was pretty easy to orchestrate just with a couple clicks, you know. And then everybody was just submitting stuff to my email.
Yeah, it's really crazy because just it totally, you know, the stuff that's been written about you saying that you are, you know, racist, misogynistic, homophobic or whatever. But you had blacks in your video, you had Asians in your video, you had Hispanics in your video, you had a bunch of women. I mean, there was probably more women than men sending in their responses. And then you even had a trans person in the videos, and I'm assuming nobody said that they were gay, but I'm assuming that people were gay in the video because there was just 100 people or whatever sending in their responses. Mm-hmm. I mean, is this a tactic that, like, these buzzwords where people say racist, is that just to, you know, get a response out of you? Is that just to kind of discredit your character without actually really looking at, you know, into what you're all about?
Oh yeah, I mean that lost me a lot of sponsors, man. It lost me Vest as a sponsor. It lost me Ripless as a sponsor. It lost me several. I mean, still into this day, people like I'll be trolling people on the internet, and people will bring up that article and just be like, well, RFQ called him racist, so I guess I just like immediately think that. It's like a manipulation tactic, I guess, to discredit people. The same with like font catalog and stuff. When I wrote for them, like that article got 50 million reads. I got 50 million reads on an article, and they don't even back me. They get rid of me. I'm like, I did my job better than everybody else in 4 months, and they still just don't get. They don't let people outperform people. And you got to be in their little club. You got to go to their Ivy League schools. You got to be like their friends or something. You got to be like in their club. It's like no matter how hard you work, they're gonna try to fucking just fuck you over all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you mentioned that like some of these articles and some of the things you say has stopped you. You had 50 million views at one time, and they just backed you off as a sponsor. Do you kind of regret not anything that you said, not because you said it, but because of the consequences that happened afterwards? Is there anything you kind of like regret saying or feel bad about afterwards?
I regret being born into a world of fucking morons, like more than anything. Like I think that's the only regret I have. Like I'm fine with my soul and I'm fine with who I am. I'm not the one having to hate on everybody for no reason. I mean, you know what I mean? So I feel like I feel like it's more on them than me, really. And like I don't really care about money that much. I don't value it. It's not my main value. Like I think entertainment's something kind of different, but everybody else wants to make money. So I mean, yeah, it did affect money. It did affect certain things, but overall, I wouldn't take anything back. It's hilarious to me.
Yeah, because you're trying to be yourself, and you're not trying to cloak yourself from any other factors. Unlike me, I'll be like, I told Sam, I was like, we're not getting money from this at all. If somebody offers me any type of money, I'm saying anything. If we need to sponsor tampons, I don't even know how to say it right now. I will sponsor it. So you got your own little integrity. So I agree with that.
It's fair, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say no to sponsors. They're the ones trying to say no to me. You know, I don't care. I'd advertise anything. They just get pissed off at like little naughty buzzwords without actually understanding the words in between that I'm actually saying. They'll get mad that I say like fag or something, but not say how I used it. Like I'm not calling a homosexual fag. I'm saying like people have like in that article, for example, I'm saying like people have the right to say words, and you shouldn't give them value to like I think giving a word like at the easiest G-rated word. I mean, I think like retard or something, like if you give retard or any of these words value, that's like you know what I mean? It's like words have the power that you give them, and it's how you perceive these words. The words themselves are not evil. It's just how people have used them. You know what I mean?
And I agree, and I was talking to Sam a little bit about it, though, and I agree that words do have some type of power, and it is because how we receive them and get them, but we can't refute that they do have power, though. I use an exact that, like, if I were talking to Sam and his mom came up and I just called her the B word, like, you know, you're gonna, you know what I mean? You're gonna be like, hey, you just used the word and you just called my mom a bitch. Like, I'm gonna be offended about that. It just really is how you use it, the tone you have, and then I agree they have some type of power though.
Yeah, I mean words, but they have the power that you give them, and like
how you perceive it. Everything does. Yeah, everything just has the power to perceive it, and like also it's just like also like complaining doesn't make you a rule maker. Like I mean, it doesn't like violate the first. You can't just get rid of the First Amendment because somebody's sad about a word. Like I mean.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing, you know, like with with these words, it's obviously it's obviously power, but like what we were talking about was like here in America we have certain words that we take as insults, and then over in like Africa, let's say, or Europe, they have different words that they all take as insults. So
cunt or something. It's more of a cuss word in like Europe and Australia and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like and so I think it's all about the the power that you give them. And everything, but these are words that you've used in your comedy, though, correct? That you're kind of being that you were kind of attacked for, like during.
I think it was mostly a fake screenshot they used on RFT in that one. Like I'm not saying I have I probably have used most of these words in comedy. I mean, I say fucked up shit all the time, and I probably use it in daily life just to like razz my friends and shit. But I feel like mostly like they just like use fake screenshots of like some open mic dorks like fucking just try to shit talk me. Like I said, the local comedian scene in St. Louis, they just get mad because like whenever you do something without going to the funny bone or without going through their like bullshit route that goes nowhere, they get really pissed and they just call you names and they don't actually understand anything they're saying, in my opinion, and they just like fake screenshots and fake all these things. And like you can tell those screenshots were fake because I was actually verified on Facebook at the time, so you'd have a check mark next to my name. Like, because I was fucking verified, so basically, yeah, those are fake because there's no check mark next to the names. Like, it's easy to get proof.
So that screenshot that was on that Riverfront Times article, that was totally fake.
Yeah, there's no check mark next to it. I was verified at the time.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah,
because that was pretty bad. I mean, that was like you start to like I get the message, but then all of a sudden it's like just very out there and shit like that, and it's and like people that are obviously reading that article are going to take it out of context and form their own opinion.
I'm sorry. Hey, wait. We got Sam's mom actually watching.
Yeah, my mother.
Like, don't call me that.
She goes, "Don't call me the B word." My mother comments on YouTube.
I'm sorry, Mama Catanzaro.
So yeah, there you go.
That was the term. Booster made me say it.
We got nothing to love.
It wasn't me.
I did not.
So
I want to
yeah,
hit up
ahead.
a question. You were talking about the people in St. Louis and like how they're mad that you're not taking the certain routes that you need to take. Here in St. Louis, we talked about how entertainment industry is not the peak to go to. This is not the city to go to. Have you found it like particularly hard to kind of do what you do here in the St. Louis area, or you think this is just some type of hidden treasure trove that nobody's really tapping right now?
Fucking both, actually. I mean, that's a great question. Both really, man. I think St. Louis is a sleeping giant, or whatever the term is. Like, because there's so much fucking talent here. But then also, I think that like I barely work here because I just live here. Because I barely even, I do shows like Cusimano sometimes or something like that where I don't ask for money. I do a free show, open door, and it's flooded with people and shit. I don't charge cover anything. But most of the time, I mean, as a comedian, you tour. And as a filmmaker, you want more than just your town to watch your stuff. And as a podcast, you want more than your town to listen to your stuff. So basically, St. Louis is just a place I live, really. And I've made cool connections with some. I'm not saying every entertainer I met out here is bullshit, but I'm saying like a lot of comedians were. Like a lot of the open mic night comedians were, because they can't fathom a way to do this without open mic nights. Because, I mean, I don't think they're that into it. I think they're actually just Uber drivers with a hobby, like most of them. You know what I mean? And I think that like, but rappers out here, I think are fucking awesome. And I think there's a lot of other just like real talent. You guys, for example, like other entertainment, like media, like mogul, like build-ups and shit. I think are good. And I think like just like, I mean, there's a lot of good shit here, not to be overlooked. But I just think the comedic scene is not one of them.
Yeah, and that's crazy because that's pretty much the basis of why we created this show, because there's like people coming in and thinking St. Louis is just some hick town that nothing's going on. And we're just like, there's a lot more to St. Louis. There's a lot more music. There's a lot more people trying to get out there and do it. And this was just a way of getting everybody together. So I agree with you.
We would get pissed when somebody would say there is nothing to do in St. Louis.
Nothing.
That would be, and like we're looking at them like, are you fucking kidding me? Like spend a weekend with us and we'll take you to places. You could be born here, you could live here your whole life, and spend a weekend with us and we'll take you to places that you didn't even know were around. We'll take you, to a scene that you didn't even know existed.
Well, most people get stuck in their ways and they find a perfect bar or the perfect club to go to, and then they just go to that same boring club every weekend, and they're not willing to like go out and do other stuff and do different things.
Yeah, it's really frustrating when you're actually trying to promote, or like somebody from in town comes in and they're like, oh, what do I do? and it's not, like if you go to Vegas, you're not asking what should I do in Vegas. You already know what you're doing in Vegas, because Vegas is a tourist spot. Yeah. But you come here and it's like, and you say like, oh, what should I do? And if you ask most locals, they're like, well, you can go to a Cardinals game or you can go to the Arch. That's about it. And it's like, we're screaming, no, there's so much fucking more that you can do in St. Louis. It's crazy. And just like on, not even like going out physically to do, but like, on media, like I didn't know your show existed until we hooked up. You didn't know our show existed until we hooked up. And so it's like, oh wow. And you're promoting local music and we're promoting local music. And then you're running for Congress, like from the local podcast scene here in St. Louis. Like we got one running for Congress. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like this. If you're bored, you're boring. Basically, I think that's like the traditional like saying. Like if you can't find things to do, it's because you fucking suck and you're boring. You can make anything interesting. Like I mean, you could. I lived in O'Fallon, Missouri, which was a shopping center, and I made fun there. It just depends on what your perspective and what you can do. It's on you rather than your location. And like unhappy people blame their surroundings, and happy people know it comes from inside.
Well, you seem like a really fun guy to like party. Do you like party a lot, or are you just more of a homebody? Because I know you say you don't do open mic shows. Dude, doesn't mean you just don't.
I just did. That's not how I started. But yeah, no. Sorry, go ahead. I got hyped up. Go ahead.
No. I want you to get into it. I just want to say, like, do you go out? Do you go and party, or you just more that's your persona and you just stay at home? And now that you got a girlfriend and don't have to leave anymore.
If I was the answer is honestly, I get super fucked up. Like I kick it hard, man. I got a bunch of good buddies and shit. You guys seem fun too. We'll have to drink sometime, man. Like I get super fucked up, dude. Like I that's one of my hobbies right now.
What is your favorite spot in St. Louis? Like where do you like to go? If it's out on the town, it's like, hey Anthony, we finna go party. Whatever spot you choose, what'd be your to go to if we were open right now?
I believe it's called the Last Hotel. It's like this rooftop bar with a pool, basically. And on Sundays you could drink dollar champagne. So they have dollar champagne and a fucking pool on like a rooftop above the entire St. Louis. You can see it's pretty dope.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy. We got somebody down in the comments. Arvon said went on a date with a girl who grew up in West County, and she said the same thing. There's nothing to do in the city, and I listed multiple drinking streets and neighborhoods. Asked her what there was to do, where she grew up, and she could only name the Neutral Zone Arcade. Yeah, a lot of people live in their bubbles and assume things about people in other areas. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
people from the county will shit talk St. Louis, but they'll come out here for all of our fucking sporting events. I'm like, there's no Wentzville Blues. You have to come out here for the St. Louis Blues. Weird. And there's no fucking, there's no St. Charles Cardinals. Weird. You know what I mean? And there's no even. It's just like these towns in the suburbs, in my opinion, are brainwashed people. It's from the 70s push. They had this like systematic racism bullshit thing that pushed everybody out to the county basically, and like those people are all fucking brainwashed hillbillies. And St. Louis is fucking awesome. That's my response.
I agree. I'm gonna get behind that. St. Louis is the best thing ever. You heard it.
Yes.
So using that, St. Louis is the best thing ever. Let's move in. Let's segue into you running for Congress. Okay. So just to give our fans a little background here. You are running for Congress to be the representative of Missouri's 1st District, which includes St. Louis City and many parts of St. Louis County, mostly North County.
Wait, is that North County?
Yeah, mostly
That's
North County. You are running as a Republican for a seat that has not been occupied by a Republican since 1949. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to. In today's political climate of identity politics, you are a white conservative. Your district, according to Wikipedia, is 49.3% black and is historically more liberal. Tell us what makes you the right person for this position, Anthony.
I think the focus on crayon colors is set back St. Louis about fucking like 300 years. So I think it's weird to even bring up race and something like that. But I'm better than Lacey Clay during his administration. 600,000 people left St. Louis, so I imagine we should try something different. I don't know. I feel like during what people have like left in hundreds of thousands since the Democrats took over. So I think we should maybe try the Republican way, maybe get some industry back here, get some businesses in North City. I don't know. It's fucking common sense, I feel like.
Yeah, and just kind of bring up, so Lacey Clay, who occupies the position now as representative of Missouri's 1st District, he's in the House and everything like that. There hasn't been a Republican mayor since 1949. Lacey Clay has been representative of the 1st District of Missouri since 2001. Before that, his father, Bill Clay, was representative since 1969. So from 1969 to currently, to present day, you've had the Clays, who are Democrats, father and son, that have been representatives of Missouri's first district. These are career politicians. One could say almost a dynasty. Do you believe in term limits for congressmen and senators like these?
See, I think that's a hard question to answer because I feel like it's like the question like before you're a musician, if you're asking if people should buy music, like as a consumer, you're like man, no one should buy music, and then when you're a musician, you're like, man, no one's buying music. So I feel like it's the same thing with with being in Congress. It's like yeah, man, they should have term limits. And then I become a congressman. I'm like, wait, no, they shouldn't. So I don't know. It just depends on the person. I think Nancy Pelosi does a terrible job. I think certain career politicians are doing terrible jobs. Like Biden, for example, was too. I think Lacey Clay. I mean, it's weird that he has a woman's name. I think it's weird that it rhymes with lazy. I would always call him like Lazy Clay, because he doesn't really do anything. And basically, most people think that they've been voting for his dad. Like when you ask people in North City who they're voting for, they think William Clay Sr. is who they're voting for still. Like they don't even know they're voting for Lacey Clay. Because on his name it says William Clay, the same as his father. So there's like 40, 50-year-olds still voting for a guy who don't even know him. And like we had other names for him too. Like I was running by my campaign. I was like, can I call him Lazy Gay? And they're like, no. They're like, drop gay. I'm like, okay, I'll call him Lazy Clay. And it's like, so we're sticking with Lazy Clay, I think, for his name.
A question for you. I feel like comedian to politics is just a really big jump. What made you decide to get into that? What was it, a pivot point where you said, all right, I need to get in there, I need to change something? What was that moment that made you say, all right, stop the comedian, I needed to get into politics?
I think it's when I realized I have to smoke weed like a man Frank, hiding in my house, and I have to pay income taxes. I don't like income taxes. I think the fact that there's no industry in North City and no one says anything, and literally if you just literally did something, you would fix it. I don't think they're doing anything. It's like if you just put it just makes no sense. Like these people, when I came from O'Fallon, Missouri. And I moved here and I see just certain things are just lazy and stupid. Like the cops out here have SUVs from the 90s and shit. I'm like, what is going on in this town? You know what I mean? I love the people, but the people representing the people are just bullshit. And it just pissed me off to a point where I'm like, I guess I'm the one who has to say it. You know what I mean? It's just it just makes no sense. It's like I'm just some dude who just got annoyed with it, basically.
Yeah. And just so you're running as a Republican, and just kind of give people how Democratic that St. Louis is as a whole. They have not had a representative since 1949, but the mayor, I think the office of mayor has not had a Republican since 1949 as well. Like St. Louis mayors have been historically Democratic since the early 50s at least. Yeah, since the Hoover administration, and then representatives here for Congress in this first district have it's been 1949 since there's been a Republican in. So I mean, you've had consistency of the Democratic Party, and the city has just been faltering. Population's been going down. You're saying that they don't do anything. What do you think of gerrymandering?
I think that's a lot of it. I think that's a lot of the problem. I think, and as you said, since it's been Democrats gone downhill so much, and it's not necessarily that I hate Democrats even stereotypically. I think more or less, I think it should just go back and forth. Like maybe we should give the Republicans a chance because clearly we've seen a downslide of St. Louis falling off the map. This is the town I think O'Fallon and Chesterfield are gonna pass us in population if we don't fucking do something. It doesn't even make any sense. It's disgusting to me, honestly. But yeah, gerrymandering, I think it's probably how a lot of these people win.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I like to believe in the voting system where it's just hey, people aren't just voting for the people because they're doing crap. I know it's out there, but if you're out there and you have some ideas that hit home to me, I'm gonna hey, if it hits home to me and I believe everything you're saying, it shouldn't matter what party it is. You are representing what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Well, and it's just historically this is what people vote, and it's just they vote, especially the black population, 49.6% black in your district, and historically blacks have had an undying loyalty to the Democratic Party, and there's been movements like Blexit, led by Candace Owens and all that kind of stuff. What do you think of that? How do you present yourself to a black voter who has been historically loyal to the Democratic
Well, I
Party.
don't think he has to present himself to the black voter.
Well, no.
I think
If
well,
they're,
you do.
no,
he has to do what he wants.
but
and then-
a black voter that's been historically loyal to the Democratic Party, where he is a white Republican. How do you present yourself as that?
The only way I really see that being a factor is I think people listen to people that look like them and relate to people that look like them, basically, in the sense that, like, when I was a fat kid, I liked Babe Ruth because he's a fat guy that hit home runs. Like, I think people just, like, relate to whatever, or, like, if you're a kid with glasses, you probably like Buddy Holly, or, like, if you're, and, like, what are you saying, if you're like, black or African-American, whatever, you listen to people that are black or African-American, just more like you. It's who you relate to more. But outside of that, like, I don't think race has that much to do with, like, everything. Like, I think it's just, like, I think it's been blown out of proportion. I mean, especially the Ferguson shit. I mean, they just shot that when they shot that kid. Like, there's all this bait. There's all this bait bullshit that blew it out of proportion. I think race has very little importance, in my opinion.
I would like to agree with you there too. I was just like, I mean, it has some importance, but I would like to think that, hey, like, we are going to listen. People are going to kind of listen to more people than like them.
Yeah.
But we're going to listen to people who thinks like me a little bit more, and I like to believe in humanity a little bit more than that.
And then there's that.
And I don't like, and I don't want to like, and then just the fact that he has to gear himself towards a certain race is kind of weird to me too. I was like, just be true to yourself, be true to like what you want to think.
Right.
Don't try to pick this one group and try to like go to this group.
No,
you know
but
what
I mean, but it is a big population, and then it's like, I feel like when people hear the word Republican, they freak out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
I'll probably be the first Republican a lot of people vote for.
yeah, well, and that,
Hopefully.
so that brings us up an article.
Get me out of some tickets.
An article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Yep.
The article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch on you stated Anthony Rogers, quote, Anthony Rogers might be the first candidate to actually ask the people what they want rather than try to spoon feed corporate or lobbyist propaganda down voters' throats. And they're referring to, on your website, AnthonyRogers2020.com, you actually have a spot where one of your constituents can actually go in there and type in what they want from you, and you will listen, and it comes directly to you. It's not calling your local congressman at the office. It is going to their actual website. Why is this different than what other candidates are doing or have done in the past?
Because I feel like most candidates, they get like 15 bullet points, and they think that's just what people want to hear. So they just like tell people what they think they want to hear. And I'm like, what do you want from me? I'm your representative. I'm like, tell me what you want me to do because I represent you. And I think that's just real. It's just like it skips the bullshit. Like, I don't have to like lie to people. I don't have to make up stuff. And that's probably one of the few positive articles about me. So I like that article.
All right, hey Anthony, this is Booster over here.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, I haven't talked for a while, so I just want to make sure I get in here. That leads kind of into one of my questions. You, like we just said, like, you're more in favor of a representative democracy. You want to do what the people in your district want. At the same time, a lot of politicians have a set amount of like political positions and standards and values that they present themselves with. Why do you think that representative democracy, and that you go in local retail, hey, how you doing? My name is Anthony. What can I do for you? Why do you think that's better than like standing on top of a political platform?
Because you actually give the people what they want rather than like tell them what they want.
Yeah, I got you. And like, I was thinking about that a little bit because people like saying confidently, this is what I'm going to do. It's a little bit more appealing. Do you think that asking people what they want, and the way you put it is great, but you think that's going to bring off that you don't kind of know what you're doing though? Because I think
people say that. No, people have said that as well.
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, bro. Sorry, I didn't cut you.
No, I was just going to say, I like your stance that like, hey, people are telling me what they want so I can follow them. But I can see somebody saying like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And he has to ask me.
Yeah,
you know
you're right.
what I mean?
It can come off as unprepared.
Yeah.
That
Right.
you're just kind of running on no platform whatsoever or something like that. How do you deal with when people would say that?
Well, yeah, it's like the know nothing party. Like whenever, like back in the day, whenever people were like, "What's your stance?" Like, I don't know anything. There was literally a party in America called the Know Nothing Party, where they just said, "I don't know" to every question, which is a funny tactic. But I think basically, like, I still stand for things. And people ask my personal opinion. I always give my personal opinion, but I also tell them that is my personal opinion. And without the backing of my district, I can't make decisions like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pro marijuana. I'm anti income tax. I'm anti war. I'm anti poverty. I want to get rid of poverty in St. Louis. I want to get rid of just overall suffering. But that's me. Like I said, I have opinions, but my opinions are just one person out of 700,000 people in my district. So I'd like to know everybody else's opinions and take that in consideration, because we are a Republican democracy. You know what I mean? So I'd like to know where people come from, rather than just bark at them and tell them things I know they want to hear. You know?
Would you ever go, like, say you have an opinion, but say that 70% of your constituents say that they don't want weed in this district? Would you go towards that because that's what they want?
I have to, as a representative, in my opinion, even though I don't think that's likely in St. Louis. But I do think in that situation, but I do think that I have to, because like basically my opinion doesn't really matter as much as the collective does. You mean, in my opinion, as a politician, and that's what it's supposed to be. Like, it's not like whoever writes me a check isn't good. I mean, I'm not gonna be like, okay, who wants to write me a check and they'll get my opinion like everybody else. Like, that's what I feel like is happening right now. So you have a bunch of people that are only in there, like the current person right now, we call him Lazy Clay. He basically is pretty much just in a bunch of finance clubs and a bunch of stuff like that in the brokest district in Missouri. So all he's doing is stealing money. And his campaign basically, he's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations. He's making $175,000 a year, and we're in the brokest district where nothing changes. He doesn't come here. He lives in D.C., and he has no idea how to talk to a person or how to listen to a person, and he's just outdated. Like, his dad did a good job becoming the congressman and giving him the job, but he didn't do anything since 2001. Nothing. Like, literally fucking nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he's been in since 2001. What has changed? And that's the whole thing. And it's almost like, yeah, exactly. And it's almost like you're so detached from the people because you just automatically think you're going to win. You just automatically think that you got it in the bag. Your family has held this office since 1969. Your party has held it.
You got to
20
change
years
it. You're
before
saying
that.
you're
Yeah.
trying to change it up a little bit. Know that you can lose it, so you need to go towards the people.
Exactly. So so he is so confident probably in his position. That is why, he's not listening. Whereas you're a young guy, you're coming up, you're definitely the underdog. And it's like, what would hurt listening to the people this time? Like what you're supposed to do,
Anthony, and you mentioned this a little bit a while back that you asking people what they want would be probably one factor why people want not vote for you, because they think you're not having a platform or anything like that. Coming from, again, a comedian to politics, do you think that that's going to bite you in the ass? Like a little bit, you know what I mean? Like somebody's going to use what you said, because you talk about a lot of controversial subjects back into your comedian and all that stuff like that. Do you think that's going to affect your politics at all?
Smear campaigns and all that bullshit.
I think fat girls with pink hair won't vote for me because of that, but I think the average person will, and they'll relate to me. And but these fat girls with pink hair wouldn't vote for Republican anyway, so it doesn't really take votes away from me. It just means that basically I'm pretty much and I don't actually think that I don't have a platform or that asking questions is bad or going to hurt my career. I think it actually will help me further. But I think there is criticism that people will say that's their opinion. I do think people will think that, and then have said that to me before. And I think they could bring up old stuff, but like it's just basically like the typical just arguing bullshit that just doesn't matter. And I can overcome most of that. I just don't take it as seriously as someone is mad that is mad at me. You know what I mean?
All right. Hey, Anthony. I wanted to ask a quick question about divisiveness, because in Congress right now, we have a situation where it's just stagnation, has been for many years now. You mentioned shit isn't getting done on a local level, on a federal level. Political divisiveness at one time was a potent tool to kind of push things through, get things done. But now I think we're at a point where it just causes, stagnation, like nothing's happening. Do you think blind loyalty to one's political party hurts Americans, or do you think it kind of it is representative of what America is like, where people will stand on a position and they're not moving because the leader of that particular let's say Mitch McConnell in the Senate or Nancy Pelosi in the House, one of them says, you're voting my way, and that's that. Otherwise, you're going to become a political opponent of ours. How do you feel about that kind of dynasty?
I think saying that if you're not going my way, that means they're actually only thinking about themselves and not their people at all. So I think literally they're not doing their job. And also all Congress really does is they win when you win. You go in there in December, they tell you all your entire job basically, and then you start in January, and then you're supposed to fundraise and have the most money by March basically, or they don't even consider you like in their club basically. And like I think all congressmen do is fundraise and talk shit and have an ego. I think it's all they do. And my campaign's cost $12 so far. I'm not spending any money. I'm not taking any donations. I've said no to more donations. I'd probably be rich as fuck right now if I just said yes to donations. But I literally said no to every single donation. And your question on tribalism, I think tribalism can hurt and help America. It just depends on the issue. It's like, I mean, blind loyalty on an issue could help and it could hurt, but it just depends on what the issue is. But I think tribalism is the downfall of America, basically. We need to think on individual issues rather than who says it or what brand says it or what political party says it. It's like, right. I mean, just because, like, I mean, it's like only buying Nike works when you're wearing clothes, but when you're voting and stuff and only voting Republican or Democrat, it kind of hurts you because I was talking with Sam yesterday that the libertarian point of view is almost the perfect point of view because it's a merging of both basically, and but libertarians don't win, so I'm Republican basically.
Yeah, and that was when we talked about that. What was funny is that you were saying, like, I was telling you, like, I'm more of a conservative, more libertarian type guy, and you were like, I am too. I would run as a libertarian if I could win, you know, and that's why you're running as a Republican. I think that's a lot of Republicans, quote unquote, now are running as Republicans, but a lot of conservatives nowadays are kind of more moving towards the middle and having that libertarian view. You know, we're getting way far. A lot more people too.
Than anything than like the mid, but now we're stuck in the way.
I think
two-party system.
People as a whole, people as a whole, the majority of people are actually all in the middle.
That's what I was going to say about Anthony, because I was like, you seem like you're more towards, I would say, in the middle than one side or the other. Like, you have your views, but you're not totally on the other side. But I figured that Republicans is a lot more chance to win if you run as a Republican.
Definitely. I think that's like, I think the Republican Party's been swooped, especially in the St. Louis GOP is basically a punk rock thing, man. Like, this is an underfunded party. This is not the typical the balding fat guys in suits like lying to you. This isn't the typical Republican Party in St. Louis, in my opinion. This is an underfunded party that hasn't won since the 40s, like you're saying. So this is like the punk rock movement, in my opinion. Like, this is like the place where, like, we're getting sick of these fucking bullshit leaders, and we just want to like fuck things up and make it better. You know, like, fuck up the system and make it better for the people.
Would you think
we're going
that,
against the status quo type thing, is what you're saying? Yeah. We're going against the status quo.
It's pop culture versus status quo, and I'm pop culture. You know.
In the district that you're running, would you think that is more likely? I know as a whole, it's probably better to win under a Republican. Do you think going as a libertarian to help your case in the district that you're running for?
I don't think so yet. I don't think the world's ready for that, but I think in like 5 to 10 years it would be. I think like the Libertarian only got like 2,000 votes last time, and that ran, and the Republican got like 45,000 votes just for being Republican. So that's my base. Like, just by going Republican, I already have 45,000 votes, and then basically all the votes I get on top of that is how I'm gonna be lazy clay.
I feel like though, like, if you're a libertarian, people on both sides are more willing to hear your ideals. Like,
I think when they don't vote that way, that's how they talk, but they don't vote that way.
Yeah,
it's like it's weird because, like, in conversation, I've talked to way more people that side with Libertarian than Democrat or Republican, but they don't fucking vote that way. Like, I mean, it's weird. I don't understand it.
Right. Yeah, they don't vote. They're part of the Libertarian Party, but like he said, like they got 2,000 votes. You know, the last guy here, they're voting for either.
That's correct, because you're not blinded. Side. Especially, you were just talking about how Democrats was pretty much running that district the whole time.
Right.
And I think by somebody saying, "Oh, I'm a Republican," you get kind of blinded by that.
Yep.
But if I use like libertarians, like, "Oh, I'm not sure." There's no stigma to libertarians right now. I'm gonna listen to what the fuck this guy has to say. And then that's your way in, because that's your personality. You have some ideas. You get everything people have to do is listen to what the fuck you're saying, and then they're more likely to vote.
I think that's why I like, because I don't have a loyalty to the Republican Party necessarily. Mm-hmm. But like when people ask me what are your political views, I just say conservative. I mean, is that what you say, Anthony? Just because that's more of like an umbrella term, and that kind of covers like, hey, I'm more on the right, but I'm also like, mid center right or whatever, you know. Is that kind of like how you introduce yourself?
I'd say I'm Republican, but I understand that multiple parties have to exist and to get things done. I actually do enjoy some of the social movements of the left. I actually do, but I think the censorship of the left and all that shit has really pissed me off and pushed me to be more conservative. I think if I was less funny, I'd probably be a Democrat. I think they've censored me so much and fucking fucked me over so many times that it just pissed me off, and I just want to take them down. And then like after I get Congress, I'm gonna go after fucking Silicon Valley, break them up for being monopolies. I just want to fuck over all these people that are fucking over Americans and getting rid and trying to bypass the Constitution and Bill of Rights more particularly, because basically because the First Amendment, for example, only says Congress cannot infringe on your freedom of speech, but it doesn't say anything about Facebook, Apple, Google, all this other shit, like just censoring all of our speech all the time. And I think that I think there's a need for every party, man. And like you said earlier, I believe that there should be more than two parties, even. And I think that I'm not one of those guys who just I do not like some Democrats, and I do like a lot of Republicans, but it doesn't mean I just hate every Democrat. It's I do think a lot of high-ranking Democrats are pedophiles, and I think that that's being proven with John Podesta and ties to Jeffrey Epstein. But that doesn't mean every Democrat's a pedophile. It just means the high-ranking ones are. And I don't think every Republican is some idiot, but I think there's a lot of Republicans that are idiots. So it just depends on what's going on. And I think that the backing I have the guy who got Trump elected actually is endorsing me, Roger Stone, and a bunch of other people that basically got these people in office. And I don't think Lazy Clay even sees this fucking coming. I think he's so fucking stupid and lazy and in his own little world where he thinks he can't win, then I'm gonna fuck some shit up, and he has no idea. He has no idea.
All right, Anthony, that kind of transfers into one of my questions as well. We've been talking about money a lot during this, Lacy Clay's financial clubs, and we've been talking about kind of his financial influences and indeed kind of how gerrymandering leads to political dynasties that lead to just wealth accumulating for these families, the Clintons and various other families. What do you think about Citizens United has been a very controversial decision by the Supreme Court for years. Basically ever since the minute it came out, it was controversial. What do you think about money in politics? Should we dumb it down? Should we expand it? What do you think?
In my opinion, we should just make lobbying illegal. Because it's easy to be if we took more money out of it, it'd be easier and stuff. But I feel like lobbyists have really ruined it. The pharmaceutical lobbyists, when you watch the Super Bowl, for example, they're all pharmaceutical ads because they're the richest companies in the nation right now. So those are the companies influencing everything right now. Basically the left is pro pharma and the right is pro big oil, basically. And you just have oil versus pharma, and that's all it really is. No one else is getting a voice or anything like that. For money is a thing, but also to ban money is just anti-American as well. It's weird. It's weird to me. It's a weird situation. I think personally lobbying should be illegal, but not. Just being rich doesn't default make you a bad person. It's how you spend your money. It more accentuates the person you already are. If you're a shitbag and you're poor, you're just going to be a bigger shitbag when you're rich because you have more influence. But if you're a good person when you're poor and you stick with your values and cores and you get rich, you're going to be a good person with a bunch of money. It just depends on how the person is and how money and how success affects them. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's crazy. You said Roger Stone is endorsing you. Roger Stone has been.
Remind the audience. I know who that is.
Yeah. So just kind of
the evil monopoly
notes.
guy.
I just got some notes here.
I like that story.
Roger Stone served as an advisor to the 2016 presidential campaign of Donald Trump.
Okay.
Stone left the campaign on August 8th, 2015, amid controversy, while with Stone claiming he quit and Trump claiming that Stone was fired. Despite this, Stone still supported Trump. A few days later, Stone wrote an op-ed called "The Man Who Just Resigned from Donald Trump's Campaign explains how Trump can still win" for Business Insider. And then just recently, he was charged in an indictment with witness tampering, obstructing an official proceeding, and 5 counts of making false statements. Stone was convicted on all 7 counts in November 2019 and was sentenced to 40 months of prison time. This is
it happened.
Roger Stone endorsed you, and he doesn't really endorse a lot of Republicans. He even says in his endorsement that he doesn't do this for a lot of guys. Why is he endorsing you, and what are your views? Do you think this can help you, hurt you? Go ahead.
I think the person that got Trump elected could definitely help me become the next congressman in this district.
The person that got Trump elected could do anything.
Wait, what did you say, bro?
I said the person who got him elected could do anything, man.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I mean. But all the charges you're saying too, I think is a witch hunt. And my particular belief, there's a huge pardon Roger Stone thing happening. I think it's be pardoned in my personal belief. I think it's a witch hunt basically because I can't really say why. I feel like I'd be getting him in more trouble defending him than I would. Like, so I don't want to comment too much on like the cases or anything like that. But I do think it's a giant like Salem witch trial bullshit thing. It's just like I mean, the left tried to impeach Trump. They go after all the people that got him in office. Basically, they tried to put Stone in jail. They deplatformed Alex Jones. They got rid of Breitbart. I mean, so all these different things that got Trump elected the first round are basically they're trying to shut down, and that's how they play. They play dirty, you know. So you got to fight dirty back sometimes with them personally, but not the citizens.
Yeah,
you know?
there's been a lot of scandals on the left, you know, trying to go after the right, definitely. And it's crazy. Even Representative Matt Gaetz, he appeared on The View and he was saying like Donald Trump should pardon Roger Stone, stating Clinton and Obama have pardoned way more people.
It's not that. No, everyone's saying that right now. He just got off his gag order like last week, basically, and he's been on like all these fucking platforms, man. I think he's gonna be on my podcast soon too. But but basically, like, I mean, yeah, there's a huge pardon Roger Stone movement right now because like I said, like, I can't really. I feel like if I explain why am I going to be in more trouble legally, so I don't want to
say anything that was going to sound bad. But then you take it into account that we have a lot of people watching the show, though.
Yeah, we have thousands and thousands of people.
All
yeah,
our views are
absolutely
millions.
No, so yeah, you know, you're running for just for all the viewers out there. So, Anthony Rogers, you are running for representative of Missouri's 1st District for Congress. You are trying to be the first Republican to hold that seat since 1949. And you are who are you running against? Who are the people that you're running against? Are you running against Lacey Clay?
Yeah, he's the defending champion of the of the district.
And
10 times running.
When are the primaries? When should people go out there and vote for the Republic?
August 4th for me. August 4th for the primaries. You can go to AnthonyRogers2020.com/vote, and it'll tell you all the cities that can vote for me and how to break down where to vote for, how to register to vote. It gives a very good breakdown, like YouTube videos, all that stuff, just user-friendly stuff. Because I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of voters that typically wouldn't vote, and then get a lot of people that typically wouldn't vote Republican voting for me. Like, I'm probably gonna be the first Republican a lot of people vote for in this district.
Gotcha. And then guys, if you guys are watching, if you guys want to check out Anthony, you guys can go to Amazon Prime. He has a movie. Don't watch this movie. It's called. Okay, it's really great. It kind of breaks down American citizens and everything like that. Where else can they go and find your stuff, Anthony?
There's a lot of articles on avn.com and xbiz.com. If you just search my name, it's a bunch of articles in there about my podcast. The porn industry loves me for some reason, but RFT doesn't. Post Dispatch has a lot of articles.
I feel like you look like their producers.
Do what?
I feel like you could pass for a pornography producer, possibly.
Yeah, I'm almost that creepy. I'm almost.
I didn't mean it like that, but yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm just having fun, man. You seem cool as fuck around. But yeah, no, I'm just hyped right now. We got a good thing going. You guys like you were doing good too. I just getting all this out there, man. I like the fucking logo behind you, man. I like the passion behind your project and shit like that. And your muscles that you just flexed. I'm envious. I wish I had muscle at all. No, I think just like the community's killing it, man. And it's guys like you guys just getting out there and talking to people, not letting like for example, not letting some article shit talking me stop you from even interviewing me, which I think is bold in this day and age. It means I think so many people are just so like I don't know, Salem witch trial these days, or like I feel like I'm surrounded by the kind of people that tell on Anne Frank all the time, you know.
There's a lot more to people than meets the eye, and yeah, like one funny thing is when I tell people my political views, it's like they look at me and they go, you know, and they're like, "How dare you?" And it's like, whoa, you're just judging me on the surface here. You know, you need to get deeper. And
that's because half the time you talk about it, you don't have sleeves on, and that's already.
I just come off
every time you say you're a Republican and you don't have sleeves on, that kind of pushed me back a little bit.
Absolutely. I got my tall boy in my paper bag. Yeah. No, but yeah. So Anthony, hey man, thanks for coming on the show. Absolutely loved having you on. We're gonna have you on again. definitely. And we want to come on your podcast whenever you get a chance. So, guys, you can check out Anthony at theanthonyrogersshow.com. Check him out at anthonyrogers2020.com. Go ahead, look at his platform. He's running for Congress. If you are in his district, get out there and vote. As always, my name is Sam Catanzaro.
And again, I want to thank everybody again, Anthony, for coming on. Leave a comment down below. Tell us if you have any questions for her. Thanks out for Booster, our executive producer right there.
Man in the chair. There you
go.
go.
The myth, the legend.
Yeah.
And my name is Tyrese, signing off.
All right, guys. Hey, guys, tune in every Monday night live at 9 p.m. Underground St. Louis. You guys can also go check us out at undergroundstl.com. We will see you next time. Have a good one.
Heyo.
There you go. Love the beard. Love the beard, too, by the way. It's great.
All right, I love the beard for the shirt, yeah.
There you go. Love it.